As we have entered into Black History Month, February 2023, my very first episode is about a man who only really made Black history in my life and the impact he had upon me as a young man. This episode will fall under the impact of Black fathers as episode 2 of that. This episode should have been recorded in January. However, for reasons beyond my control, it was not. So I'm including it in this month's series on Black history. He's part of my personal history. It's something he said to me as a stepson all those years ago. Still resounds in my spirit even today. He reminded me that when things get tough in life, things are not going a certain way, that it doesn't matter how strong a man is. What matters is how well he holds on. It doesn't matter how strong a man is. What matters is how well he holds on. That principle can be applied to all genders, I believe. There's a certain mental toughness, certain type of mental prowess, certain type of spiritual toughness, certain type of spiritual strength that one must possess, certain type of emotional strength one must possess. Now, this man's name was Cory. He was known back then as a weekend alcoholic. My mom married him knowing this. And I chose to live with him knowing this. However, he still became like a father to me. A father I never had. Yes, I have a biological one, but all fathers are not biological, as I said in the previous episode. In my time spent with him and my mother, we would sit at the dinner table and talk. Or perhaps when he was outside doing something, we would talk. He engaged with me conversationally in ways that I had not been engaged with before. And again, he was a weekend alcoholic, as it was known back then, in the 80s. He would go to work Monday through Friday. Brick mason by trade, that is one who's not only able to construct objects with brick and concrete, he's able to create sculptures. Those concrete mailboxes, the curvature, those feet, those things we see made of brick, those architectural type structures, he was of that skill set. This man, Cory, was a man who was troubled by some things he did in his younger life. I'm not saying that there's any real excuse for being an abuser of alcohol in all of its forms, but this was who he was, and that was something he was addicted to on weekends. He taught me the true value of work. He gave me a work ethic that in some ways I passed on to my sons. He emphasized to me that no matter what happens to you in life, you had a choice as to how you will respond to it. He had a choice. And sometimes those choices would always be the best of choices as he lived out. He understood this all so well. He understood that sometimes giving in to things could be detrimental to one's well-being. He lost that fight every single weekend. But during those times we spent together, he imparted to me words of wisdom about life. During this time period, I was new in the worship style of Jehovah's Witnesses. He showed a measure of respect for that and the obligations I had to attend what they call meetings 5 times a week. But he also let me know that structured religion was not always the best way to go. That God respects us wherever we are. Something I later learned in life. At the age I am now in my 60s, I still think of him often. I look at his photo and I remember who he was. He stood about 5'9". His hair was speckled with gray. He had a raspiness in his voice, more noticeable when he started drinking. And he was there for me. He was my living at the time guide, things I had not experienced. Some people say, well, that was the past and he's dead and gone, but his memory lives on with me. I would not have a Black history in some ways if it wasn't for him. There are times I wish I'd taken more seriously some of the advice he gave. It's the relationships. It's the need to stand up when others are choosing to sit down in regards to issues. How to be that voice and that caregiver. Many of these things, my religious faith taught me. But therein lies the difference in his teaching and his teaching. He didn't pull no punches. He saw life through a lens of torment. He saw life through a lens of loss. He saw a life where he himself had some measure of value when he finally met and married my mother. And their life was a struggle often. Yet on weekends he made sure that the basic needs were met. She had whatever she desired. In spite of the things that troubled him, that drove him to drinking. To behaving sometimes the way he did. I am thankful for this man, this Black man coming into my life. I'm thankful every single day because he imparted to me that one golden gem. The diamonds are formed from coal, black coal, pressure, you get something on something that is seemingly ugly, because of pressure, over time it creates something beautiful. He imparted to me a strong work ethic. We often want things handed to us, and yet those things that are often given to us, but in a real effort on our part, don't last long, or we don't have to see the value in them. The impact of black fathers is real. Yeah, he did conform to one stereotype of being an alcoholic, even on weekends. But I knew the man that knew how to love hard. I knew the man that loved in spite of his troubles. I knew a man who showed up when other men would have ran. I knew a man named Cory taught me to hold on. I knew a man who held my oldest child in his arms and looked upon him with love, even though he was not able, for reasons I never really knew, to engage with his own children. I knew a man named Cory, a black father not by blood. Cory was my impact player, my black father. The next episode will definitely be related to a character that is entrenched into American history. His name, Hercules. That episode will be entitled Hercules in American History. So like, subscribe, follow this podcast, and catch the next episode, Hercules and American History. If you've never created a podcast, then Podbean is perfect platform to do so. Give it a shot, y'all. Try it out. Let your words be heard.